Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 552, 552, September 18th, 2018, Tuesday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today's TowerGate video is going to be one of those ones that we mark as one of the probably top 5 TowerGate videos. Not because I'm going to do such a great video, right, and entertain you so much, but because of the information that we have today. A very, very pivotal moment in the TowerGate saga, in the investigation of the criminal conspiracy that we've been doing now and working on for 552 videos. Today we have information that's going to be a major, major game changer in the direction things are going to go from this point forward. So let's go ahead and get into it, as well as some other things that we need to talk about. First of all, George Papadopoulos was on Sean Hannity today. It was a little bit more in-depth of an interview than what he did on TV. The most important thing that came out of it, in my mind, was when Papadopoulos told Hannity toward the end of the interview that he is very much looking forward to testifying in an open hearing in front of Congress so the whole world can understand what exactly was going on with Papadopoulos during the 2016 election. He says there's a lot more that people need to know than what they've learned just from the indictment or his pleading guilty to lying to the FBI. And he's talking about the individuals who he had encounters with, and he would be talking about the professor, Mr. Misfit, Mr. Halper, and Mr. Downer. And he talked about all three of those individuals with Sean Hannity today. And there's no doubt from listening to this interview that Papadopoulos believes that foul play was involved, that he was lured to Link University, which is where he was first introduced to Misfit, which led to the second meeting, where Misfit was supposed to produce some contacts for Papadopoulos. That did not happen. Instead, what he got was this, according to Papadopoulos, this information from Misfit that the Russians had dirt on Hillary. And then he goes in and he elaborates on why he finds that so suspicious. Then he talks about the suspicious nature of how he was brought into Downer's world, Down the Hatch Downer. And he also has reiterated what he said earlier, which is that he recalls that conversation with Downer very well because Downer was chewing his butt because of an article he wrote that was critical of David Cameron. And essentially, Downer was saying, hey, you know, we don't appreciate that hatchet job you did on my friend. He also talks about the fact that the person who set the meeting up for Downer, his assistant, works for Australian intelligence. He also said that the person that was used as an intermediary for her was an Israeli intelligence official, and he gave his name. Papadopoulos has a lot to say to the Congress. I hope they ask the right questions. It's going to be a bombshell, and I'm looking very much forward to it. And he says that that could be happening very soon, that he's working on setting that up as we speak. Let's hope it comes very soon. And let's hope we have good questioners asking the questions. Adam Schiff, the bug-eyed fool, you wanted Papadopoulos for hearings, you're going to get him. Yes, you are. And I think he's got some information for you, Adam, you bug-eyed fool, that you're not going to like. Diane turning your guns, Mr. and Mrs. America Feinstein, and that political stunt that she's been involved in is going to backfire. It's going to backfire. And what's it all about? Well, everybody says it's about maybe getting Kavanaugh to pull out and pull himself out of the running, which would mean that they wouldn't get another court nomination until after the midterms. No, that's not going to happen. Kavanaugh's not going to pull out. Is it about just damaging Trump and Kavanaugh for the hell of it? A little bit. But mostly what it is a political last ditch. I mean, they're throwing essentially a Hail Mary pass. They know that the odds that it's going to affect the nomination or getting Kavanaugh approved to be on the court. It's a less than 1% chance. It's a Hail Mary. So it's not even about getting a few people to change their vote and not support Kavanaugh. We're too close to an election. And most people can look at this for what it is. It's a big fat political stunt, and a very poorly executed one, and a very poorly timed one. Yes, it will play with the base, with the Hollywood leftist, with the echo chamber in the media, but they make up a very, very tiny percentage of the people who matter. The people who matter are the voters, particularly the voters in red states where you have a Democrat congressman or senator running for election or re-election. And I can assure you that these Democrats running in close elections, especially in the red states, are not happy about this little political stunt. Not happy, because their job just got much tougher. In fact, this political stunt may be the difference between holding on to the House or not. Thank you very much. Turn in your guns, Mr. and Mrs. America Feinstein, for that stunt, because it's probably going to backfire badly on you. But I think that there's a deeper political strategy. As I told you about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Trump's approval rating with blacks has literally skyrocketed. You know, prior to Trump, do you know what Republican had previously gotten the highest number of percentage of approval from blacks? It was Bob Dole, 12%. Well, Trump right now, there's 2 recent polls that are out that people are paying a lot of attention to, especially Democrats. One of them has Trump at getting more than double the amount of black support that he got when he was elected. That means he could be somewhere in the 16, 17, 18%. But there's another poll that they're really paying attention to. It's an internal poll that was done by the NAACP, the National Association of Liberal Colored People. This particular poll shows Trump with 21% approval. Then there's another poll that shows Trump with 31% approval with blacks. These numbers are devastating. Democrats cannot win elections, national elections, and even a lot of congressional seats could be flipped when you see numbers like that. Senate races could be flipped in places like Missouri, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. These are numbers that matter, and that's what they're looking at. In other words, they've essentially realized that Trump has come in and essentially snagged such a big chunk of the black vote that they know is not going to be there for them in the midterms, and likely not, certainly not in 2020, that they've moved to another last-ditch political Hail Mary. They've got to do something about the last group that they really still have good pull with, and that would be the women's vote. This is about getting the women's vote. This is about driving down the number of women who voted for Trump, to get women who voted for Trump to stay home and not show up and vote for the midterms. It's about driving down the women's vote for the Republicans, specifically for Trump, because this election is really a referendum on him. And at the same time, invigorating the women in the Democratic Party who did not show up to vote for the right Reverend Clinton. A lot of women stayed home. Some voted for Trump. They know that that's all they've got left. They're losing the black vote. The same is true of even the Latino vote. Trump got more of that than they thought he would get, and that number's probably rising too. So, all they've got is the women. For them, that's going to decide the midterms. And so that's why they're going after Kavanaugh with this piece here. It's a piece to basically say this that Kavanaugh is abused some woman when she was a high school kid years ago, and that the Trump administration supports it, and that Republicans support it. Republican members in the Senate support it. In the House, they support it. Republicans hate women. They support people who abuse women. They're going to use this to try to drive up the female vote, female Democrat vote, and to try to repress the conservative women vote. That's why they picked this little political scam and why they carried it out and executed the way that they did. Because they know it cannot really be resolved. It's a he said, she said deal. This woman is going to sit there and claim under oath, she's going to lie and say what happened, happened, and Kavanaugh is simply going to say it didn't. Who are you going to believe? And that is what they're going to be hanging their hopes on for the midterms. That's the political stunt. That's what it's mainly about. And we've been learning quite a bit since the name of the accuser of Judge Kavanaugh came out. All kinds of things, like an avalanche of information coming out in the last 24 hours, most of which you all have heard. Some of it will be proven to be true, some will be proven to be untrue. We have things like we're hearing, well, this woman, the accuser, has told a friend that she had sex with 64 people during her high school and college years, that she was a bit loose, that she was an alkie. She stated that there were 4 boys from that prep school, including Kavanaugh, and that there were 2 girls there. We don't know who the other girl is, or whether or not she can corroborate the story or not. When the lawyer for the accuser was asked about it on CNN, she said it's not her job to corroborate her client's story. You ever heard that one before? Usually as a lawyer, you want to make sure that your client's story is straight. You don't just throw it out there and let everyone else decide. You find out first. But we know a lot about this lawyer now. We know that she, like her client, both are heavy-duty donors to the Democratic Party, the Rotten Irving Clinton campaign, Obama. We know that the lawyer has, in fact, donated a lot to the DNC and to MoveOn.org, a very radical organization. We've seen the pic of the accuser wearing her pink pussy hat at a anti-Trump demonstration. It was billed as a climate change or something type demonstration, but it was really an anti-Trump demonstration. We've heard that her brother, the accuser's brother, worked for the law firm that represents Confusion GPS. We've heard that the mother of Judge Kavanaugh at one time was the judge who ruled on a foreclosure case against the parents of the accuser, and many other things coming out of the woodwork. How many of these things are true or not, I don't know. But that's what's been happening. It appears right now that Grassley is going to stick to his guns and not move the hearing date, and he should not. They should have the vote on Thursday. It's not his fault that they waited to the last minute to bring this up. Feinstein had plenty of opportunities to ask the judge about this. She chose not to. This person's had plenty of opportunities to come forward. She has not. The FBI, there's no reason to wait. The FBI is not going to investigate it. It's too old of a case. Not enough witnesses. And it appears that the accuser can not only not remember the location of where this happened, the address, she can't remember the date, meaning the day, the month, or even the year that this happened. What's there to investigate? Grassley should go ahead and have the vote. Now, if they can get this woman in there on Tuesday, tomorrow, or when you're watching this video today, if they can get her in there on Wednesday and let her testify, and they'll let Kavanaugh come in and answer, to her claims, give them both a chance to state their case, and then you have the vote. But only if you can get it done before Thursday. Otherwise, I tell them to pound sand. Because I believe the majority of people in this country have been watching this shit show. It began with the crazy people that they brought in to turn it into a circus act. And it ends with this despicable display. This political hack job. And like I say, I think the average person across the country is watching this and is sickened by it and understands exactly what they're looking at. I mean, these things used to work. I just don't think they work that well anymore. I think people are pretty much desensitized to them. But everybody knows when you roll out a stunt like this, a political stunt like this, it is totally a political stunt. Yes, it will give the media something to talk about. Yes, it will give the nutcases out in Hollywood something to bark about. Yes, it will energize some of their base. But the rank and file across the country and in the places where it really matters, the average folks watching this know exactly what they're seeing. And it is going to backfire. It is going to backfire. The rotten Reverend Clinton. She's out giving speeches again because they're getting ready to re-release her book in paperback. The What Happened book is now going to come out in paperback. So she's out there pushing the paperback version of it now. And she's using, on several times during her speech, she used the word radical, describing the Republican Party as that they're now radical. That's interesting because Obama, in the last two speeches he's given, he's also used the word and the phrase referring to the Republican Party as radical. So, what does that tell us? Well, it tells us that they've got a new word. So you can expect to hear Democrats all across the country going out and using this term that the Republicans are radical, too radical to be in power. We've got to get these radicals out of power. So they're going to try to frame the Republicans as being radical. And, of course, the only thing they have left in the identity politics, they're going to come out and try to really go hard for the women vote. And they're going to try to, of course, use this thing with Judge Kavanaugh pushing into the midterms to try to make the case that Republicans hate women, that they're going to shut down abortions and all this kind of thing. So that's the two things that they're going to probably be focused on and what you're going to see in a lot of political ads over the next 6 to 8 weeks. The Democrats are going to try to characterize or identify Republicans as being radical and hating women. And they're going to really push the abortion issue hard, despite the fact that most Republicans, including Kavanaugh himself, has said that it is settled law until there's a massive swing in public opinion. As long as it's still about 50-50, they're not going to touch Roe versus Wade. It's going to have to be a much larger percentage of people calling for an end to it. And that's basically what it is. And that's what we can look for in the weeks to come. Uncle Bob the Executioner says he's ready to sentence Michael Flynn. But he's not going to do it until anytime after November the 18th. In other words, about 10-12 days after the election. He's waiting till after the election to sentence Flynn, but he's telling us that the sentencing is going to move forward now. We'll see how that works out. Remember, he's already had 2, if not 3, extensions. We'll see what happens, because there's some other things that are about to happen that might change everything. We'll get to that in a minute. And it's why this is one of the most important TowerGate videos that I've ever done. Bob Woodward was on C-SPAN on Monday morning, where he said that revealing his sources for his book, Fear, might get somebody killed. Might get somebody killed. I'll let you work on that one for yourself, but it's pretty obvious what he's suggesting there. And it's just another way for him to try to make it sound like the scoops he's got in his book are so legit that they're worth someone being killed over. What a joke. What a joke. Absolutely unbelievable. Nobody cares about your sources in your book, Bob, because nobody buys your bullshit. Stopped a long time ago. Your Watergate fame ended a long time ago. You've already been embarrassed and discredited with your appearances on CNN, pushing fake news, being the source of fake news for so long that most people already understand exactly what you're all about, Bob. And you're all about bullshit. No one's going to die over any sources in your book. But now if you write a book on the Right Reverend Clinton and tell the truth about that, somebody may well get killed. It'll probably be you and any sources that ratted on the Clintons. Try writing that book, Bob, and then you can talk about somebody really being killed for being a source in your book. Absolutely epic announcement now. In her press conference this morning, Sarah Sanders has revealed that as of today, Trump has ordered the immediate declassification of the FISA application on Carter Page, completely unredacted, including the 20 pages previously withheld and redacted. All of the Bruce Orr 302s unredacted. Here you go. All the FBI reports and notes, anything having to do with the Russia investigation, anything on Carter Page, anything relating to Page, the FISA warrant, the applications, and all the notes taken by FBI and DOJ officials to be completely released, completely unredacted. This will now go to the Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coats. You can expect it'll take him a couple weeks to go through this. This would also include all the text messages from Comey, McCabe, Bruce Orr, Peter's been stroking us, loose Lisa Page, and all of those without redaction. In other words, the plot. This will end the Mueller probe very quickly. Right now, all over Washington, as this word came out this morning, I can assure you, many people heading for their local criminal defense attorney. Now is when you could see some people running to the DOJ or the FBI or to someone to start turning state's evidence. Because now they realize it's all going to come out. And many of these people have already given testimony, or they've gone out and made media statements. Many of these people have given testimony under oath, and they've lied. What comes out is going to reveal their lies. It's also going to reveal the plot against Trump, and particularly the criminal plot against Carter Page. This is going to be all the evidence Carter Page's attorney will need, and possibly even Mike Flynn. So they're both going to be very, very rich men. I can assure you. There's going to be many media organizations that are going to be absolutely stunned by what is revealed. It'll be impossible for them to spin it because we'll be getting the actual text, the actual documents, the actual notes. It won't be someone's opinion making accusations or statements. It's the actual documents, the actual notes, the actual texts, unredacted. Everything is going to be out on the table. This is the beginning of the end of the coup, I can assure you of that. Uncle Bob himself may be looking for a criminal defense attorney, especially Mr. Weissman, Comey, McCabe, Strzok, Page, the whole crew, Yates. They're all going to be busy looking for a criminal defense attorney. They'll be wondering, paranoia will set in now amongst them, wondering who is going to talk. Can we all stick together? Can we all stick together on the same lie? No way. And they know it. So now they all have to start having paranoia amongst themselves, wondering who they can trust. Can Strzok trust Page? Can they trust Nellie and Bruce? Can Yates trust Comey? Can Comey trust McCabe? Who can trust who? They don't know who they can trust because they're all very dishonest people. Can they trust the media to come to the rescue? Hell no. The media is going to turn on them lickety-split to save their asses. Many of their careers will be destroyed. News organizations completely discredited. The shit is about to hit the fan. That's what I'm telling you. This is big. This is huge. This is the single biggest item that I've probably covered in the entire 552 TowerGate videos. because this is the thread that is going to unravel everything. All that has to be done is for this to be released, and then the honest journalist, other people out there like myself, many of you, will be able to read all this, look at it. The truth will be evident of what happened in 2016. A frame-up against the president, which involved many other setups of people close to him, private citizens. Carter Page, completely abused by the FISA court system, lying to the FISA court, presenting false evidence, withholding exculpatory evidence, using the private contractors to access the super secret NSA database on behalf of the FBI, leaking stories to use as evidence to the FISA court, leaking evidence to damage the character and reputation of not just people around Trump, but the president himself. The coup plot is in every bit of this evidence. It's now going to be made available to the public. That's what we're looking at. Yes, Rodenstein and Ray will do their very level best to try to persuade Coates from releasing everything, and especially unredacted. Adam Schiff, the bug-eyed fool, will be right there on his hands and knees begging, along with his friends who are a part of all of this, begging Coates not to release this stuff. But Coates is a pretty straight shooter. He was a Republican congressman from Indiana, bit of a neocon, but he works for Trump, and Trump wants the shit declassified. And Coates doesn't want to be the guy that didn't follow through, because he knows eventually it will come out, and he doesn't want to have to answer for a lot of questions about why he held things back that were pertinent to the case, to getting to the truth. Keep in mind, at the same time that all this stuff is going to be dumped on us, Devin Nunes just told us that he's going to release all the depositions, of which there have already been 73 people deposed. He says 80% of that is completely unclassified, so he can just release it anytime he wants. And he said he's going to do it soon. He said maybe 20% will have to be looked at. There might be some things that could be classified, but he's going to have that gone through by the DNI as well. We also learned something else today about those 73 individuals that he has deposed between he and Goodlatte's committee. 73. And there will be more. Of course, Nellie Orr coming in this week. They're having Comey back, Yates back, people like that. So there'll actually be more by the time they do this. But we found out today that there were seven people of the 73 that pleaded the fifth and did not answer any questions to the committee. 7 people of the 73 pled the fifth. And I'll bet you every damn one of them are the people connected to Hillary Clinton and the Clinton campaign. I'll bet you every damn one of them were the people connected to the Right Reverend Clinton and the Clinton campaign. Probably Shearer, what's his name? All the people around Clinton were probably the people that pled the fifth. Maybe Comey and Yates. It's not going to help them. Their gooses are cooked. So we don't know how long it'll take. Probably quite a few weeks, I would think. A month, month and a half. I don't know if it'll all come out in one day. I doubt that. Probably come out over the period of a couple of days. But we're going to get those Bruce Orr 302s, and they're going to tell us a lot. They're going to tell us a lot. The 20 pages that were redacted in the Carter Page FISA warrant are probably going to be devastating. All those notes, all the notes from all the interviews throughout the entire Trump-Russia thing that involve Comey, McCabe, Orr, Strzok, Page, and probably others. All that stuff completely unredacted to be released. It's the entire coup plot. So my thoughts were that Trump wanted to wait till probably after the flood issues are more under control, because there's still a lot of problems down there in the Carolinas. We now have a death toll of over 23, or of at least 23, 22, 23. We still have a lot of flooding to come, because as many of you know, even after the storms and the rain stop, you still have the high areas where you have hillsides or small mountains or whatever. The water continues to flow down, flows into rivers and creeks. They overflood their banks, and you continue to have more and more flooding. The flooding continues for days after the rain stops, and we don't know that the rain has completely stopped. There may be more rain coming. So we're still not out of the woods yet, and there's still a lot of people down in North and South Carolina that are facing serious challenges. Very, very difficult time for those people. We know, of course, we heard from Patty this morning. She's back home, and it appears that everything's fine with Patty. Hopefully her property's well, and hopefully she's well, her and her family. Haven't heard from Maura yet, but, you know, I know there's other people probably in the area. So my guess is that Trump wanted to wait till probably another week or so until this situation, you know, really gotten down to nothing more at this point than just a kind of a beginning the rebuild process, and all the people who maybe have been killed in this were found, and that the waters had receded, and that things were beginning to start to go back to normal, or what have you. I think that's probably what Trump wanted to wait for, but I think something happened. I guess it's with this Kavanaugh thing. I think something just pushed him over the edge. I mean, I think we finally found the end. We found the end of Trump's patience. I think we have come to the end of his rope. I think he's had it. I think for a lot of reasons he wanted to wait till after the midterms. I think he'd been advised of that. But I think this thing with Kavanaugh is probably just, that's it. That's it. I'm done, man. I am totally done with this bullshit. I'm tired of listening to you people and you people. Release all the shit. I want it released, and I want it released now. Tell Coates to go through it and release it. And I want it all. And you know, I'm standing by Kavanaugh, period. So I think, I think Trump has finally reached his limit, because I'm pretty sure that he had wanted to wait till after the midterms. So that looks like what we're looking at now. It's all coming out. It's just a matter of how quickly they can get to it. I do believe it will happen before the midterms. At least we'll get some of this documentation. Nunes has already said he's definitely releasing his stuff. He doesn't need to wait for the president because it's not classified. He is going to release that, which he said we'll see 80% of what he's got. Goodlatte and the other committee, they've also got interviews. They'll probably also release prior to the midterms, the stuff that's not declassified. And everything else will come after the midterms. And that will begin the beginning of the end. We will begin at the beginning of the end. After 552 days of TowerGate, we have finally arrived at the station. Our package is ready. From this point forward, we will unwind the criminal conspiracy. And like I've said in many videos, going back months and months and months and months, in fact, day one, my very first TowerGate video, I said, if this allegation that Trump is making, that the Obama administration was spying on him, a lot of people are going to jail. I keep repeating that. I know it's hard for some of you to believe. I've watched as many people walk as you have, including the Clintons, many times. They are not going to walk this time, I can assure you of that. These crimes are too severe. This will be the biggest political scandal in modern history. Not just American history, modern history. It's all coming out now. The perps are going down. And we're going to find out when this is all said and done. It won't just be these intelligence agencies and these other people. It will be media organizations completely destroyed. Media people, their careers destroyed. Their credibility destroyed. Dozens of people, dozens, going to prison. Massive civil lawsuits. It's going to turn this country inside out and upside down. For the better. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow. Guys, have a good night. Bye.